time too. I know how it is. Oh,
How's it going, everyone? Wayne the Unknown here, and welcome to another episode of Cosplay Con Talk, where we basically discuss everything pertaining to the cosplay community and conventions. Tonight, we are doing another segment on Get to Know That Cosplayer, and tonight's special guest is Michelle Waffle. How are we doing, Michelle?
I'm doing good, Wayne. How are you?
I'm doing really well. So thank you for coming on to this Cosplay Con Talk series to talk about your cosplay experience, convention experience, and any other advice you like to give.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. So to usually begin this series, I always start with a question. What got you into cosplaying?
So it's really random. My nephew was having a superhero themed birthday party. I think it was his 5th birthday. And his mom said that guests could dress up, and she really just meant the other 5-year-olds going to the party. But I decided I was going to participate, and I dressed up as Black Cat, and my husband went as Spider-Man, and then my mom came too, and she dressed up as Storm from X.
Nice.
So we had a little Marvel group going, and then my sister-in-law dressed up as Black Widow.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was my first cosplay experience.
Kind of a whole amalgamation of cosplayers, Marvel characters.
Yeah, even the little guys, they were so stoked that my husband was Spider-Man because there was a bounce house. And so my husband was in there, but the kids were too short to reach the slide. So he would give them a boost up.
Nice.
And it was really cute, except one kid was terrified of Spider-Man. He would not go in the bounce house. And this other kid, this little Superman, he was obsessed with
Spider-Man. How long ago was that?
I think it was 2015.
So you've been cosplaying for about 6 years now then?
Yeah, I haven't been doing it for very long. I've always been a geek and a fan of cons. I've attended cons, smaller ones before, without dressing up. I just never really got into cosplay until later in my nerd life.
I mean, you got a whole wall of figures and Funko Pops and everything back there.
I've been doing this since, gosh, middle school, maybe.
Oh, geez.
This isn't even my whole collection. I have a whole bunch of Toy Biz figures. Most of them are still in the box. There's a few loose ones, but I'm very much a mint in box girl.
There's nothing wrong with that at all. Never removed from box. Some people are like that. So I am with my Funko Pops as well.
Oh yeah, I've got a bunch of those.
Oh jeez. So with conventions, what was your very first convention that you went to?
My very first convention was a local one. I was living in Sacramento at the time, and they put on a really great con called SatCon.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten bigger over the years. When I went to it, it was held at the Scottish Rite Center, which was this small meeting place. It wasn't very large at all. Parking was free. I think it was a $5 entry or something like that.
Yeah,
well, and then it got big.
Oh yeah, no, I remember going back in 2017 and tickets were $20.
Yeah, ticket prices have gone up. I think they moved it to
the convention center.
Oh, the convention center?
Yeah, well, I think it was originally going to be at the fairgrounds, but they put it for the convention center for that one time back in 2017.
I know they have a separate one called SAC Anime, and that one is always held at the convention center.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty big con for SAC.
Yeah. Yeah, SAC Anime is huge there. I'm not really as into SAC Anime. I was more of a comic girl. I used to go for the stuff, the books and the toys. That's what I was there for.
Get all the merch and everything.
Yes. I love hunting. It's so fun. I'm the girl that will watch YouTube videos, or I follow certain people on Instagram. I love to watch toy hunting videos to see what people pull and what they find. And then people will post on Instagram oh, hit up Target, this wave of Marvel Legends just came out. And so I'll tell my husband, I'll be like, we gotta go. Somebody says they're out. We gotta go hit up our Target right
Now,
now.
we have a few places like that here in Oregon. Two places called Rogue City Comics. They sell comics and figures like in the glass case and miniature figures for a couple bucks. And then a store right next to it is called Retro Wormhole. They sell a bunch of retro stuff from like movies, TV shows, video games, stuff like that.
That's like the best of both worlds.
So if you're and your husband are over down here, you guys should definitely, I highly recommend check it out.
I'm definitely gonna check it out. That's one of my favorite things to do when we travel is we like to figure out what the local comics and collectible stores are because like we're constantly hunting for like key comics or just like comics to complete a collection. I'm a completionist, so I'm trying to finish off a few runs and storylines from when I was a kid and just like stopped. But we just like to go and hunt, and we have our what's that? There's like a comic book app that we document all the books we have.
Webtoons?
No, it's let me see. What is it called? I have my phone right here. Let me just
While you're looking that up, what would you say your favorite cosplay has been over the years?
Oh man, I think it's the 90s Jean Grey because everybody loves that cosplay so much. It gets the best reaction. I think it's a fairly recognizable cosplay, but I tend to get called Rogue a lot.
I mean, there's a major difference between Rogue and Jean Grey from the 90s because Rogue's hair is a lot more out there, like how
Yeah,
Starfire's was when she was introduced.
I know. Some people though, I think maybe they just get too excited and they're just like, oh man, Rogue. Like they know who I am, but they they're not really sure.
All right,
So
I've noticed you definitely like cosplaying a lot of comic book characters.
yes, yes, I do.
Have you ever cosplayed any non-comic book characters before?
I have cosplayed. I did Apocalypse Summer, or I guess Warrior Summer from Rick and Morty.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, she's from a cartoon, but still, I think that one's pretty good. Um, I did like my own version of Sonya Blade from Mortal Kombat for
Nice.
Halloween because we were doing a Mortal Kombat cosplay group.
Nice.
And
And there's nothing wrong with doing your own version of a character,
yeah,
as long as you're
uh,
having fun and you enjoy it.
yeah, I found like an old Mortal Kombat shirt and I cut the logo out and I put it on the back of my like top jacket thing, just so
Nice.
people knew I was from Mortal Kombat in case they're
Mm.
like, who's this girl with these ninjas? You know?
Nice. So, Apocalypse Summer, did you make that? Did you buy it, or how'd you go about doing that?
So I'm really big on what I like to call conscientious cosplay, which is repurposing or recycling materials that already exist to build cosplays. A majority of that costume was made from thrifted pieces. So I think my
Nice.
shoulder pads were actually like kids rollerblading knee pads, and my mom helped me do it. We like covered pieces. We like deconstructed this sparkly sequin jacket to make the shoulder pads like bigger and more sparkly. And I think I found a couple pairs of clearance leggings at Target that were shiny, and we used those to make the arm, I guess, warmer. That was pretty cool.
Nice. And actually brings me to my next question. What are your thoughts on thrifting, especially if you're a cosplayer on a budget or a first-time cosplayer?
I 100% agree with that. I think if you're starting out, thrifting or using things you already have is the best way to go because honestly, sometimes those materials look way better than a store-bought costume. Not that there's anything wrong with the store-bought costume, but we all know how like when you go to Party City and you get like a Ruby's Halloween costume, it's just not quite like the material and the craft just isn't like quality. If you're thrifting and using like actual pieces of clothing, I just think it tends to look a lot nicer in my opinion. Plus, you're saving the environment. You're saving a piece of clothing material going into the landfill.
Oh yeah,
And you're,
no,
yeah,
most
reusing.
definitely. Plus, thrifting is a lot cheaper, and you can find, I mean, not everything in your size, but like you said, you can repurpose it for like if you were to cosplay as Wolverine or
For sure.
another character from like Marvel or
I feel
DC.
like you could do any of like the X-Men from the movies. You know, they all have like black suits.
Mm-hmm.
You could easily find like some black leather goods at a thrift store or like fake leather pleather. Like I've even found cosplay, like actual costumes at the thrift store. Like that's my favorite time is when it's around Halloween time to go thrifting for cosplay material.
Oh no, most definitely. And plus with Wolverine, you can get a red flannel shirt, blue jeans, and boots, and you're good to go.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes like these are really nice like name brand items. So I mean, even if you use them past cosplay, if you get a pair of nice Wolverine boots, heck yeah, you could totally rock those during non-cosplay times.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Now, for cons, have you ever had like any bad experiences at any cons before? Because I know everyone has their own con horror story.
Uh, I'm I'm really like blessed to say that I have never experienced anything unfortunate or weird or uncomfortable. I think I had like one guy kind of like creepily like compliment my costume, and I just kind of said thanks and walked away. But I've been really lucky. I think um having my husband around like all the time, he's not my official handler, but he's there. So I think him being there kind of gives me like an added like, protection. And I'm pretty nice about like letting people like let them down or like tell them okay thanks bye.
Care to give your husband a shout out on here?
Oh yeah, my husband is Justin Otero. If you want, you can follow him on Instagram. It's JT_Otero. He doesn't post a lot and he doesn't follow a lot of people back. And it's just because he's not into social media.
Yeah, there's
But
nothing wrong with that. Um,
he's great. He's done a few cosplays himself. Most notably his Shatterstar is
from
so
Deadpool,
legit. Yeah,
it
it's
looked
so
real. I mean, I gotta say that I looked at that cosplay, and it's really well done.
right? Like people are like, oh my god, does Michelle know Louis Tan? Like, how did she get pictures with that actor? Like he looks so good. Like, and that was all his idea. He's like, I want to do Shatterstar. So I I helped make it happen. I did his hairstyling.
Nice. How long did that take? Because that looked like all that braid and
Um,
everything.
so it's actually very easy. It's like the top part is a pixie wig that I just cut like the top part out. And then I took a lot of hairspray and a blow dryer and just like heated the hair so it kind of like goes to one side. And then I just bobby pin that to the top of his head and weave some of his own hair throughout the top. And then hairspray that. And then I attach a ombre ponytail to the back and I just braid that. And
That's
it literally takes maybe like 10-15 minutes.
that's really impressive. On the topic of wigs, what's probably the most craziest wig you've ever worn for a cosplay?
Um, I don't get too crazy with my wigs. I've got this red cosplay wig that I wear for like literally everything. It's been Jean Grey, it's been Black Widow, it's been Scarlet from G.I. Joe. Um, I I love it. It's really versatile and it's probably like the best wig that I own, like the most expensive one I've ever bought.
How
And it
much
was
did
on
that cost?
sale.
How much did that cost you?
I think it was like $50,
That's not bad.
but it's really nice, like really nice. Shout out Rockstar Wigs for for that one.
Nice.
I did
Um,
use my own hair once or twice for Dazzler because she's kind of got like a short haircut, and my hair was always really long every time I was Dazzler. So I'd have to do these crazy ponytails up top and like have it like flip to the front kind of. It would be curly. I have like a straight ponytail now, but it would be curly and I'd have to like pin it in place. And I remember, I think at San Diego Comic Con, like my ponytails were just popping off. Well, I don't know if this is gonna stay all day. I have a lot of hair.
Now, for conventions, any advice you like to give for someone who's thinking about going to their first convention, like if they wanted to go to San Diego Comic Con for their first time? What advice would you like to give
Oh my
for some
God.
con goers?
If it's your first time at San Diego Comic Con, wear comfortable shoes. Also, go early. I recommend going on Thursday and Friday versus the weekend because it's a lot less crowded. Thursday is the best day because nobody's figured out where all of the cool booths are yet, unless you went to preview night, but not everyone goes to that. So on Thursdays, the lines are way shorter. Everything's way less crowded. You can get more free swag. You can also talk to more of the creators. They're usually hanging out at their booths more because their panels aren't until the weekend. Like my favorite booths to hit up is the Hasbro booth because all the guys are there and they kind of like drop hints about what they're going to talk about at their panel, especially for Marvel Legends. Like that's my favorite. It's my jam. Also, like remember to eat and drink water. If you can kind of figure out like what you want to see first, like merchandise wise, because those kind of things can sell out. A lot of like the bigger booths like Funko and Hasbro.
Those are some big name brands too.
Yeah, and I think maybe Mattel, like I think they have like a lottery system. So you have to do the lottery like ahead of time now. You have to register online and then you randomly get selected. So that way their lines aren't as long because I know the Funko line is it's like Hall H. You just stay in line all day to maybe get a chance to go in and buy something.
I don't like lines. I remember waiting 2 hours, almost 2 hours in a line to get an autograph one time.
It's not the best way to spend your time. I think like go to a couple panels too. Like the panels are a great way to first rest your feet. And then secondly, like sometimes you step into a panel that you weren't really like into, but you're like, I just need to rest. And you go in and you get into something. And some of them are hilarious. Like there was one I went to the Vikings panel because my husband's big into Vikings.
Nice.
And the lead actor who was not part of the panel like snuck in, or he didn't sneak in, but he came into the panel, but he was dressed in a suit. And then he went up on stage and like everyone was like, what is happening here? And then he takes his mask off. He was in like one of those furry costumes. I think he was maybe a wolf. And everyone was like, oh my God. I think it was Travis Finial.
I haven't seen the show.
He played Ragnar on the show, and his character was unfortunately, spoiler alert, killed off.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised at all.
It's an older show, so if people haven't seen it, like, but he snuck onto the panel and he gave out one of the other actors' phone numbers, and it was his legit phone number because somebody in the audience called him. So just really cool things like that happen. And you know, if you're waiting in line to buy swag that you can just maybe buy on eBay later if you really want it, you miss out on like cool stuff.
And I imagine you're one for if you're going to a first con, always bring, and I always like to quote this in most of the episodes, bring an exit buddy with you.
Yeah. My husband is always my partner when I go to all my events. It's good just to like have somebody to keep track of you. That way, you know, you don't turn into a missing person, or you know, we don't want anything bad happening to anybody.
Oh no. Now, what is one cosplay that you have not done in so long that you would want to eventually bring back?
Now, funny enough, I haven't done Dark Phoenix in forever. I know I just posted some pictures onto my Instagram of it, but Those pictures were taken years ago. I haven't cosplayed her in a hot minute. Like, I need to bring her back.
Fair enough. And also, kind of the same question: what is the one cosplay that you've done? It was kind of a one and done. You've done it once, and you would never want to bring it back.
Oh, gosh. I don't know. I kind of like all my cosplays. I did do an Emma Frost in like a green suit that was kind of like she wore it for one, maybe two issues of a comic. And I did it for my book club. And I don't think I would bring that back. Like it was fun, but it was like too basic, I guess. I don't know.
Makes
The suit
sense.
didn't fit very good either.
Makes sense. Now the thumbnail that we use, that we're using for this, who is that character?
I'm sorry, which character?
The character we have used for your thumbnail. Who's that? Who's that? Is that a Marvel character?
Oh, on my Instagram?
Yeah, the one that you were using for the thumbnail for this episode. Who's that character that you cosplayed as?
Oh, that's Jean Grey, I believe. Or unless you're referring to my picture before that. So I had a logo done for myself that I recently put on my Instagram, but prior to that, it was a picture of me. It was a silly picture. I'm really into video games, so I like The Division. Tom Clancy's The Division,
Nice.
and I played a lot of that during quarantine. And there's an abandoned like business park right next to where we live. And so one day I said, "Hey, husband, let's go do a Division photo shoot." And so I looked around the house. I got like a Captain America bag. I found like some Nerf guns. Made myself look like a Division agent, kind of. And we just took a whole bunch of pictures over there at this abandoned place because the Division's like a post-pandemic type of game.
I remember hearing a like a game. I remember hearing the game series. Never got into it though.
Yeah, it's okay. Really like relevant to what we were currently living in. If the pandemic was more deadly, like basically like humanity, there's a dollar flu virus that gets spread around during Black Friday in New York, and people just are dying, and there's only a few people left, and it's just chaos. Like there's people trying to like stay alive and survive, and other people that just want to create chaos and watch the world burn. So it's a pretty fun game. If anyone listening hasn't played it, I highly recommend.
I'll keep that in mind. Now, what's the one cosplay that kind of took you the longest? Like, have you ever had a con crunch moment for a cosplay?
Oh, for sure. It was my 90s Jean Grey, but I already had a version created, and then I was approached to do Marvel Becoming, excuse me, and I needed to make some upgrades to it, like shoulder pads, better thigh pads, just basic cosplay upgrades. But it was also during a time that I was transitioning jobs. So I had a lot of trainings I had to go to, and they were actually in the San Diego area. So I would be on the Amtrak train going to my trainings down south, sewing stuff onto my costume because I had Comic-Con like in a few days after. So con crunching on the train. I've definitely like sewed on the plane and airports. Yeah, like I stay with friends when we go down to Comic-Con. So I've had like Amazon deliver things to their address so that I have them for when I arrive.
It seems to be like the most common thing is like if you can't have it delivered to you, have them delivered to the hotel or something or to a friend's place so you can finish it.
Yeah. And I don't mean to be last minute. I think we just don't really like, I don't know, life gets in the way sometimes. Like, what can you do?
No, definitely. Now a question I ask another cosplayer is if you're not able to finish your cosplay on the day of con, do you think it'd be a good idea for someone to bring like a spare cosplay that's already finished just in case they don't have time to finish the one they wanted to do?
I think it depends on like how bad you want to cosplay because I've gone to cons and I've totally forgotten pieces. I've just straight up forgotten cosplays. Like I've left them, I meant to grab them on my way out and didn't. So in that case, I either do it or I don't do it. Like I'll just wear casual clothes because you have two totally different experiences in and out of cosplay at a con. But if you want to dress up, I would say, wear what you have or wear what's already complete.
Some pretty sound advice, honestly.
Yeah.
Now, do you have any future cosplays planned they would want to bring to future
Oh,
cons?
I mean, I always have cosplay ideas. I have a whole bunch of screenshots of characters on my phone that I want to eventually do. One idea I've been talking around lately is doing a Crystal from Inhumans, and I really want to make my dog Slippy Drippy. I want to make her my lockjaw, like
Ooh.
maybe through Photoshop. I mean, she's little, but if I could Photoshop her big in some photos, I think that would be kind of cool.
Isn't Lockjaw like a bulldog or something?
Yeah, but she's a Boston, and they both have like squishy faces, so I think she could get away. She's brindle too, so she's got a little brown in her.
Now,
I think we could get away.
Who is Crystal from Inhumans? I've never seen the show, read the comics or anything. I rather just
Okay.
remember just playing the game where that had them in it.
I think she was most recently in Ultimate Alliance 3, is what she was featured in. But
Never played it.
she that's a good game to play too. The second version, though. Number 2 is the best.
Oh, yeah.
But she is basically the princess of the Inhumans. So maybe you've heard of like Black Bolt and Medusa.
Yeah, I have heard. Yep, I've heard of Black Bolt and Medusa thanks to Lego Marvel 2, the video game.
Yeah. So they're the king and queen, and then Crystal is the princess, and she's been involved with Quicksilver. They have a child together named Luna, and she also dated Johnny Storm and was part of the Fantastic Four for a short
Really
period of time. Mhm.
nice.
Yeah, fun facts.
It's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Now, do you have like any funny moments you'd like to share, whether it been at a con or getting a cosplay ready? Because it's like one thing I always like to add into this series is like if someone likes to share like an embarrassing, funny horror story moment, stuff like that.
Um, I remember the first time I wore my Jean Grey costume. I mean, I was still testing it out. Just had only I never worn it at a con before, and the seams in like my crotch area were starting to come unraveled. So towards the end of the day, I was like, I can't pose for any photos that are like, kneeling down and
You just didn't want to hear that rip if you kneeled down.
yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be so embarrassing if it just like pops off.
I know that from what I've heard and seen, that's probably a cosplayer's worst nightmares when they're wearing like the skin tight Zentai suits or something. Just hearing that one rip, it's just like,
Oh,
oh no.
yeah, yeah, it can be scary. I always bring a change of like regular clothes with me though, because I don't like to cosplay all day. So if anything had gotten like really bad, I could just change.
That's some really good sound advice. Like have an extra bagger with you to bring a change of clothes because I can agree about wearing a cosplay all day and you're just sweating and everything. So you just
Yeah, you feel kind of gross, or like your feet are just killing you, and you're like, I just want some flip flops or some sneakers. Like
oh
I
yeah.
always carry some in my bag.
Oh yeah, always bring it. That's some also good. Always bring a backpack with you that has
Yeah.
food, water, your emergency go bag, pretty
Yes,
much.
your con go bag.
Yes, or what I like to call my bag, the bag of holding.
That's perfect.
Yeah, no. Let's see. I think I got two more questions.
Okay.
So you've been cosplaying for a long time. What keeps you going when it comes to cosplaying? Like, what makes you still want to keep on cosplaying? Because I know there's been cosplayer over the years who have stopped cosplaying due to gatekeeping and all that stuff.
I mean, I personally don't care about gatekeeping. If somebody wants to critique my cosplay, like, I mean, that's their prerogative. But I just like to cosplay characters that I either identify with or that I feel like I could like pull it off in real life. I'm a huge fan of like 90s Marvel, so that is like the realm I tend to gravitate towards. Like I've done 90s Archangel, I've done 90s Dazzler. I threw together a very last minute 90s Polaris, but I need to refine that a little bit better.
Nice.
Yeah.
So who is Dazzler? Because that's like the second time you mentioned. I'm not familiar with a bunch of 90s Marvel characters. My first time I heard about Marvel's 90s character was Spider-Man the animated series.
Oh, okay. Well, Dazzler did appear in the X-Men animated series very briefly, right before the Phoenix Saga. So she's a famous singer, but her mutant power is that she can turn like sound into like this explosive light.
Kind of like Arclight and Shockwave.
Um, similar. She also made a brief cameo in the X-Men movie. Which one was it? I think it may have been Dark Phoenix. Yeah, it was Dark Phoenix.
Again,
the live action.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh.
I consider that the alternate universe of the X-Men movies.
Well, that's not a bad way to look at it. But she was in it very briefly. She is like a disc. She came out. When did she come out? Gosh, I'm like spacing, but she came out originally as like a disco type character that had roller skates. She had a cute little jumpsuit. She dated Archangel before he was Archangel. So when he was Angel, just Angel.
Okay, I'm looking at her. I'm looking her up right now. She's definitely got like that disco-y vibe. Yeah, I'm looking at some of her. Okay, I've heard of her now.
You've probably seen her. She has a lot of costumes.
I do remember her from the 90s series now.
Yeah.
It's been a
hot minute, huh?
Oh, yeah, that's an understatement. Now before we end this, any last minute advice you'd like to throw out there for those who are listening?
In regards to cosplay or cons or
all of the above.
I would say like, go to cons that have things that interest you. Don't always just focus on the big ones like New York Comic Con or San Diego Comic Con, because local cons have a lot of really good like hidden gems, or they bring in guests that you would have to wait in line, like you said, for a few hours to see at San Diego. Whereas if you saw them at a local con, your time would be cut significantly and you'd have a more intimate experience.
Not to mention smaller cons are cheaper, and there are free cons too.
Yes.
Compared to San Diego Comic Con, where over the years the prices have just gone up to where it's going to be like E3. You have to be someone very well known to get in.
Yeah. The local cons, there's no lottery system. Sometimes you can find Groupons, so you can get the tickets even cheaper, which is really nice. And then I think the local cons for me, it's a great chance for me to see all of my LA cosplay friends, because we're all over. We're all in different parts. Some are from San Diego, or they're on the other side of LA. And I live a little closer to Ventura, so I don't always get to see them. So when we go to these little local cons, like in Pasadena, Long Beach, it's just a really like nice chance to catch up with them and my photographer friends too. So like it's a nice little like mini meetup almost. And I feel like that it's a lot more fun sometimes than the overwhelmingness of a huge con like San Diego
or Wizard World.
Yeah, or Wizard World. Like, sometimes even LA Comic Con is a lot. It's one of the bigger ones, and WonderCon. Like those aren't as big.
I've heard the semi big ones are still. They're not really, like you said, a lottery system, but the prices can range from anywhere from $50 to $100 for a day or two.
Plus, if you're going to stay the night, if you fly in or you drive in from anywhere, you might stay the night. WonderCon is held in Anaheim, which is right next to Disneyland. So it can get kind of pricey to stay there.
Oh yeah, no, I feel like any of the cons in Southern California, nothing against any of the cons in Southern California, but I know like San Diego Comic Con is definitely, as far as I know, the only con in California that's the biggest and the most expensive.
Yes, I would have to agree with you there. Yeah, but don't look past those small local cons. They're a great place to start.
Oh yeah, no.
For
Uh,
cosplay, for conning, for meeting people, for having like celebrity like interactions. Those are all really great places to start.
oh yeah, no, definitely.
Mhm.
Any last minute anything else you'd like to say for this series?
Uh, no, I think that's it. I think we covered
A good
the
majority,
majority
yeah.
of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
definitely.
Is there
And,
anything else you want to ask or?
not that I can think of, but thank you for coming on.
Oh, of
To
course.
be this, be the second live chat interview for this series.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
I like doing the Zooms 'cause I like to see who I'm talking to,
Oh yeah, no,
you know?
I'm glad that a lot more people are wanting to do that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like I don't mind.
No, that's good. I think that should do it. Again, everyone, thank you for listening to this episode of Cosplay Con Talks. Get to know that cosplayer featuring Michelle Waffle. Again, always, thank you for listening, and until next time, thank you for watching.